guys wearing masks and social distancing probably more than in the past. But I felt like that, that the NFL folks had an opportunity to get a good evaluation of our players. I felt like our players had an opportunity to go out and perform as well as they could. And so really, I don't think that there was anything that took place today that was out of the ordinary, and is going to limit a player's ability to show what they're capable of, or an NFL organization to be able to evaluate them. And so, I think it was minimal, again, with everybody wearing masks and more distance between folks than typical, but not much difference, quite frankly.
All right, our next question is from Sam Blum. It's a two-parter. One, I know it's not necessarily your purview, but what's the case for Shane to become an NFL quarterback? And what have you heard from scouts asking about him? And two, kind of unrelated, how are TJ and Reggie doing?
Yep. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, I think that Shane's a pretty easy evaluation in some ways and a difficult evaluation in some others. And what I mean by that is, he's got 4 years of film with, I think, 4 different offensive coordinators, if I'm not mistaken. And, the one thing that you look at him as a true freshman at Texas, you look at him as a sophomore at Texas, you look at him playing some the year that he redshirted, you look at him the 2 years he was here, really under 2 different coordinators. I think the thing that he's been productive, no matter what the system has been, no matter how good the team was, how bad the team was. He has shown that he can play that position at a very high level, regardless of the supporting cast and regardless of, the system and the changes and how much talent surrounds him and all those kind of things. And so, I think that the NFL people have an opportunity to go on to look at his tape and his history. And, the one thing that we say all the time, the film doesn't lie. He's been a very productive player. And I think that they're going to see a player that's grown and improved every year. Certainly this year was challenging just because of the pandemic and the way it limited not only games, but opportunities and the growth that normally occurs during the spring. We didn't have that, and occurs really over the summer with the players getting together and throwing, which we didn't have much of that either. And so, I think that at the end of the day, they're going to turn the film on. They're going to see a quarterback that, that's a winner, that has a very varied skill set. He has a quick release. He's an accurate mid-range thrower. He throws a very good deep ball. He's a very smart player in terms of, taking care of the football and not turning the football over, decision making. We ask him to do a lot of things, full field read, do change protections at the line of scrimmage, make blitz adjustments, do a lot of things that they're going to want him to do in the NFL. And so our offense, gives another quarterback an opportunity to do all those things. And so, that part of it, I think, speaks for itself. I thought he ran well today. I thought he looked good throwing in his workout. I thought that he, physically, measured well, measured over 6 feet. So all the things that you wanted to see from a workout perspective, I think he showed those today as well. So I think he's, I've said it all along. I've said it really over the last 2 years. I think he's somebody that if he finds the right opportunity, has an opportunity to have a very long NFL career. And so I know from talking to some of the people that are here, not only scouts, but some position coaches that came here, really specifically to see him. I know they see a lot of the same things that we saw. Somebody who, makes the team around him better and the players around him better. And I think there's certainly a need for that in the NFL. And so I expect Shane, regardless of where he gets drafted or however he gets an opportunity, I expect him to make the most of that opportunity. Question about Reggie and TJ, they're both progressing, I think, on schedule. So, Obviously they're, have started doing things on the ground, whether it's running or agility things. We're bringing them along slowly, both of them. Um, you know, Neither one of them are going to do any kind of spring practice this spring. We'll hold them both out of spring ball. I anticipate both of them being fully recovered. And, when we report back in June, I think both of them will get back and get going after we finish spring ball and they finish their academics. We'll have a little break. And then my expectation is June 1st, they start getting ready for the season and just like everybody else. So, we'll kind of see where they are at that point, but I think they're both ahead of schedule and feel good about the way the rehab's going for both of them.
All right, our next question is going to come from Matias Ornelas. He's from Timeout Brazil channel. And after 2020, when players didn't have a chance to have a pro day, how important was this event for players? And do you think that by not having the normal combine, it opens up more space for the players?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, first of all, we had some players that came back that didn't really have a chance to do pro day last year that participated this go around. And I thought some guys in particular did well. I thought Ryan Becker was healthy really for the first time in a long time. He got into camp last year and battled through some injuries during our season and just wasn't really completely healthy. Couldn't can train at the level that he wanted to and prepare at the level that he wanted to, and probably wasn't his best version of himself. Didn't give himself the best opportunity that he had because of some injuries. And he's healthy and looked really good. He was 251 pounds and ran well and caught the ball well and moved well and showed explosiveness and power and all the things that you want to see. So I thought he had a great pro day, helped himself without a doubt. And had some other players that didn't have a chance to go through pro day last year that participated that did some good things as well. So I think that it's a strange year just because. For NFL folks, it's very similar in the NFL as it is for us trying to recruit. We just normally have so much information on these players, and because they're on our campus all the time, and same thing with the NFL, they have a chance to get to know the players and work them out and do all these things. They didn't really have that opportunity last year. So I do think that because of that, there were some players that slipped through the cracks that were good players that probably deserved an opportunity to get into camp, and it just didn't happen last year, and I'm hoping that some of our guys will get an opportunity this year.
All right, this next question is from Marcus Betts with Rise Up Family Sports. What kind of player is a team getting with Shane Buechele? Any player he compares to that's currently in the NFL? And kind of going along that, what type of offense do you think he would fit best in?
Well, I think the big thing with Shane is, as I said earlier, I think that he's a winner, and I think that's the bottom line. I mean, there's quarterbacks in the NFL that are all shapes and sizes. You have guys that are under 6 feet, the Drew Breeses, the Russell Wilsons of the world. And then you have other guys that are really, really big. And, I think everybody's looking for something different. The Kyler Murrays of the world, they're not very tall. I mean, 5'10", 5'11", whatever Kyler is. And so, there's some organizations that don't want anybody that's less than 6'4", and there's other organizations that don't want anybody that is 6'4" and want a quarterback that can run, and others want quarterbacks that can stay in the pocket. So, I think the bottom line is, and I think it's just this the same way really for everybody. I think the bottom line is that, so much of having success in the NFL is finding where you fit, finding what offense, what coaching staff do you fit with, just from a personality standpoint and an expectation standpoint, and then what kind of system do you fit in, and what do they want the quarterback to be able to do? I'm confident that Shane can do a lot of things. Now, Shane's not a running quarterback. He moves well enough in the pocket to be able to buy time and see people down the field and that sort of thing. But he's not going to, he's not going to be Lamar Jackson. He's not going to run the ball 10, 12, 15 times a game. And that's just not what he is. And so, my hope is that he goes someplace that values accurate quarterbacks, that values, guys that get the ball out of their hand, the decision-making process. And then, as I've said many times, I think Shane throws about as good a deep ball as any quarterback that I've been around. And so, I think that they're going to get a well-rounded quarterback. Was there a second part to that question?
I think that was all encompassing in your answer, so that was great. Thank you. Next question comes from Damon Sales. What are your thoughts on Brandon Stevens, considering 2.5 years ago he was a running back and now trying to show NFL scouts that he can be a corner?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Brandon. I just talked to Brandon a second ago. I thought he had a big day today. I mean, I really think he helped himself. To me, he's one of the more intriguing prospects in the draft, just because he was a college running back for a number of years at UCLA, and then made a big position switch from running back to corner, and he ran really well today. Ran sub 4.5, jumped I think 37 inches in the vertical. I mean, he had a big day, um, performance wise today. He weighed I think 214 pounds. There's not many corners probably in this year's draft that are 214 pounds. So, you get a big, physical, tough-minded player that I think still has a lot of upside, just because he has only played the position for 2 years. And so I think he's an intriguing prospect. And Brandon, I think similar to Shane, I think he's got a kind of skill set that will allow him to play for a very long time in the NFL, again, given the right opportunity and the right set of circumstances. And so I'm excited to see what he does and the way he continues to improve. And I know that he opened a bunch of people's eyes today. And I know people were excited about what he did. And so I think he had an outstanding pro day, and certainly helped his efforts for sure.
All right, this next question comes from Steve Lansdale. You have a history of sending players to the NFL. Does that make scouts rely more on conversations with you more than they might with guys who play for coaches with a shorter track record of sending players to the NFL?
Oh, I look, it's like anything else. I mean, I think it's about relationships, I mean, people, and there's a number of NFL coaches, head coaches that I've known a long time. And, when you do it for a while, you meet people and you get to know them, and you establish a relationship with them, and you find out, we're similar in the way we think and maybe the way we evaluate players and all those things. And so, I think that, I think there's some organizations that probably value what college coaches have to say more than others, and some of them just want the data and want to see things on film. I think the one thing, if you go back and you look, I mean, I do believe that our quarterbacks, have had a history of having success in the league. Whether it was, Jared Goff or obviously at Cal, being the first pick in the draft, and taking the Rams to the Super Bowl, I think his third year in the league. He certainly has had a level of success. And you go to Davis Webb, who's still in the NFL as well, was our quarterback that followed Jared at Cal. And you just kind of start looking back at those quarterbacks, Nick Foles that I had at Arizona. And so we've had a number of guys that have been successful. And I think that these guys know specifically, if you're a player that plays in this offensive system, that you're going to be, well coached. I think there's a number of our receivers that have opportunities every year because I think the guys know what they're going to get. They're going to get guys that are solid, know how to run routes, know how to compete, have an understanding of the passing game, and same thing with quarterbacks. And so, it seems to me that, I think playing in the system not only allows you to put your performance on film where you have opportunities and you have good opportunities to show what you're capable of doing. I think at the same time, they appreciate the detail and the way that, these guys have been coached. And so, I think it's like anything else. You develop a little bit of a reputation, and your players do, and hopefully our reputation continues to get better.
All right, and our last question for you comes from Damon Sales. You mentioned Ryan Becker. Any other players from the 2019 team that didn't get a 2020 pro day who look good in today's pro day?
Yeah, I mean, I really thought all the guys did. I mean, Kamen Freeman came back and looked lighter and ran better than probably he did when he was here as a senior, certainly. So I thought he did some good things. And I know he was, I thought Chris Nagar kicked before and really made an impression on people. And Chris was obviously a player from this year, but, I don't want to diminish Chris's performance today, because I think he really helped himself today and almost assured himself that of having an opportunity to get into a camp and show what he can do. And I think he's got a lot of upside, and I think impressed a bunch of folks today that came and evaluated him. I thought, Pono Davis did some good things, and Chris Biggers was there, and Myron Galliard was there, and thought all those guys, worked hard and performed well, and did, and showed that they have some talent. And so, it's like anything else. Everybody's looking for something specific, and thought all those guys tested well and competed hard and did some good things. And then actually Jordan Wyatt was here from a number of years ago, and it's good to see Jordan. He was healthy and moved around well, and Jordan's was one of those kids that just had a hard time staying healthy on the back end of his career, and looked really good today, and I'm sure opened some people's eyes as well. So it was a good group that we had back. It was great to see those guys just from a personal standpoint. Haven't seen a lot of them in the last couple of years, and it was great to see them. Great to have an opportunity to catch up, and like I said, hopefully those guys will find a way to get an opportunity.